Hello, everyone. Welcome to season 2 of the Sam podcast. We'll be talking about careers this season with me, Mr. Sam. Today, we have a special guest joining us. Please welcome Miss Emma Carter, a former domestic flight pilot and aviation instructor. Emma, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sam. I'm really excited to be here. Talking about regional and domestic pilots is something I've been passionate about for years.
That's fantastic. Okay, let's get started. So, Emma, many people hear regional flight pilot or domestic flight pilot and think they're the same. But I believe there is a distinction. Could you explain?
Absolutely. Regional pilots typically work for smaller airlines that cover specific regions or areas within a country. Their flights often connect smaller airports to major hubs. Domestic pilots, on the other hand, can operate for either regional or major airlines, but they primarily focus on flights within the country rather than international routes.
Ah, I see. So, a domestic flight pilot could be flying for a mainline airline as well.
Exactly. That's a good point. Domestic doesn't mean small airline. It just refers to flights that stay within national borders. Regional is more about the scale of the airline and the routes they serve.
Interesting. But here's where I have a question, and maybe even a little argument. Many people say regional pilots have a much harder life than mainline pilots because of irregular schedules, lower pay, and smaller aircraft. Do you agree?
Well, yes and no. It depends on perspective. Yes, regional pilots often start with lower pay, smaller aircraft, and sometimes unpredictable schedules. But these positions are also opportunities to gain experience and flight hours, which are necessary to move up to mainline or larger domestic airlines.
Hmm. But shouldn't the responsibility of flying passengers safely be rewarded equally, regardless of whether the pilot flies a small regional jet or a larger domestic aircraft?
That's a fair point, Mr. Sam. Safety responsibility is high in every flight. Even in a small aircraft carrying 30 passengers, a pilot's decisions are critical. But compensation is often tied to experience, aircraft complexity, and operational scale, not just responsibility alone.
I see. So it's more about the airline's structure than the pilot's dedication. But still, regional pilots sometimes feel undervalued, right?
Absolutely. And that frustration is real. I've met many young pilots who start regionally and feel their hard work isn't fully recognized. But the industry is changing slowly, especially with pilot shortages in many countries.
Pilot shortages. Okay, let's talk about that. How does that affect regional and domestic pilots?
Well, the shortages have opened opportunities for regional pilots to move up faster. Airlines have started offering better salaries, signing bonuses, and even direct entry programs to attract new pilots. Suddenly, the job market became much more competitive and rewarding.
So you're saying that being a regional pilot now can be a stepping stone with real opportunities?
Exactly. It's like a ladder. You start small, gain hours, and eventually qualify for larger domestic flights or mainline positions.
Hmm. But what about lifestyle? I've heard regional pilots complain about long hours, commuting to bases, and irregular rest schedules. That doesn't sound glamorous at all.
No, it isn't glamorous. Many regional pilots commute or stay away from home for days. Sleep can be inconsistent. Jet lag isn't just a long haul issue, it affects short flights too if the schedule is irregular.
Exactly my point. So the salary isn't always enough to make up for the personal sacrifices.
True. That's why passion for flying is essential. If someone is motivated purely by money, they may become dissatisfied quickly. But if they love aviation, the early challenges are part of the journey.
I can understand that. But let's go deeper. What about training requirements? Are they different for regional and domestic pilots?
Yes, there are differences. Regional pilots may start with smaller aircraft and gradually build hours. They often work as flight instructors or in charter operations first. Domestic pilots in larger airlines might need a commercial pilot license, an airline transport pilot license, and specific aircraft type ratings, especially for larger jets.
So, regional pilots are really training on the job while flying passengers. That sounds stressful.
It can be, but training programs are rigorous. Pilots are trained extensively in simulators, emergency procedures, and airline protocols. By the time they move to domestic flights, they are highly competent.
So experience matters more than salary in the early years.
Absolutely. Experience is the currency in aviation. Flight hours, problem solving skills, and decision making under pressure determine a pilot's career trajectory.
Okay, let's argue a little here. Some people say regional pilots are overworked and underpaid, while domestic pilots in mainline airlines get huge salaries for relatively easier flights. Is that fair?
That's a strong argument, but I'd say it's about the airline's economics. Regional airlines operate smaller jets, often on thin profit margins, so salaries are lower. Domestic mainline pilots fly larger planes with higher revenue per flight, so higher pay is possible.
But responsibility is the same. Passengers still trust a pilot to get them safely from point A to point B.
That's true. Responsibility is universal, but the market dictates the compensation. It's not perfect, but it's how the system works.
I guess that's realistic. But what about stress management? Do regional pilots handle stress differently than domestic pilots?
Stress is different but constant. Regional pilots often face tighter schedules, smaller crews, and less support at airports. Domestic pilots might have more robust resources, larger crews, and more automation, but both must remain calm and make precise decisions under pressure.
Interesting. So the type of stress changes, but the need for professionalism stays the same.
Exactly. And that's why training focuses not only on technical skills, but also on communication, teamwork, and situational awareness.
Communication, that's a good point. Pilots must coordinate with co pilots, air traffic control, cabin crew, a lot of people.
Yes, and miscommunication can lead to serious issues. That's why regional pilots often receive intense training on cockpit resource management and teamwork early in their careers.
I didn't realize how complex regional flying could be. I always thought small planes meant an easy job.
No, not at all. Small planes can be tricky, especially in bad weather or at smaller airports with limited infrastructure. Pilots need quick decision making and adaptability.
Adaptability, that's important. But do regional pilots ever feel stuck? Like after a few years, they want to move up but can't?
Sometimes, yes. Career progression depends on timing, seniority, and airline needs. Some pilots wait several years to move to domestic or mainline airlines, while others benefit from pilot shortages and move faster.
Timing and luck play a role too.
Yes, but preparation matters more. Pilots who continuously improve skills, certifications, and knowledge increase their chances.
Okay, let's discuss lifestyle differences. Domestic pilots often have more predictable schedules and layovers, right?
Yes, domestic mainline pilots might return home more often, have hotel accommodations for longer flights, and better support networks. Regional pilots often commute daily or stay in smaller airports with limited amenities.
So, lifestyle can be a deciding factor in choosing regional versus domestic flying.
Absolutely. Some pilots prioritize family and home time, so domestic positions are attractive. Others are willing to sacrifice personal time to gain experience in regional flying.
It's a balance between career growth, experience, and lifestyle. I can see arguments on both sides.
Exactly. And that's why discussions about regional versus domestic pilots are so nuanced. There's no one size fits all answer.
All right, here's a question for you. What's the most rewarding aspect of being a regional or domestic pilot?
For me, it's the feeling of responsibility and accomplishment. Knowing passengers trust you with their safety is humbling, and the ability to see new cities, meet people, and fly different aircraft types is incredibly satisfying.
That's beautiful. And the view must be amazing too.
Yes, sunsets from 10,000 feet, mountains, oceans, it's breathtaking. But you have to stay focused. Safety comes first.
Of course. You can admire the view, but only after doing your job properly.
Exactly.
Before we end, Emma, any advice for listeners who dream of becoming regional or domestic pilots?
Yes. Focus on education, especially science and math. Gain as much flying experience as possible, even in small aircraft. Be patient, stay persistent, and cultivate a passion for aviation. And remember, every hour you fly counts towards your future.
Patience and persistence. Got it. That's a lesson not just for flying, but for life.
Exactly.
Emma, thank you for sharing your insights and even a few arguments with us today. It's been a lively discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Sam. I really enjoyed our conversation.
To our listeners, we hope this episode gave you a deeper understanding of regional and domestic flight pilots, their challenges, rewards, and the realities of this career.
Yes, and remember, no matter the type of flying you choose, passion and dedication are key.
Thank you for listening to the SAM podcast. Stay curious, keep learning, and we'll see you next episode.
Goodbye, everyone.